Scientologists will have problems, that are not apparently effectively dealt with by Scientology. They may have a psychotic break, or they're deeply depressed. They will isolate a person and monitor them during a period of time which they believe will resolve their problem.
How long could somebody be locked down? What are some of the most prevalent cults today?
Well, I would say we've touched upon the polygamist groups, and then there are, in my opinion, Scientology would be a group that I would be concerned about, even though there are many celebrities involved in it. It's a shrinking organization, but they still control a great many people, and they have an enormous amount of money and property that they control. That group was started by L. Ron Hubbard, the science fiction writer, who, ultimately created a religion that has tax-exempt status in the United States, and now is run by a man by the name of David Miscavige, who took over after L. Ron Hubbard died. And so there are prominent people involved in Scientology like Tom Cruise, John Travolta. Interestingly, I had always thought over the years that if a celebrity that was in Scientology left and turned on them, that could be where celebrity recruitment, which often helped them, could be a two-edged sword that cut both ways. Mm-hmm. And that happened when Leah Remini, the sitcom star, left Scientology and started to speak out against them. And she has accomplished an enormous amount of good, basically explaining what's going on inside Scientology and how it affected her. And she was raised by Scientology parents to be a Scientologist. So that is an organization that I look at quite a bit and get quite a few complaints about. And by the way, I've testified as an expert in court regarding Scientology. And one of the most, and I've done a number of interventions to help people leave Scientology. And I write about that in my book. And I think it's a very difficult organization for people to leave, because if you have family in Scientology or friends, and there are people that have been raised in Scientology, their whole life is Scientology, there's a policy called disconnection, which would be the extreme equivalent of what Jehovah's Witnesses call disfellowshipping. In Scientology, it's called disconnection. And so they declare someone as what they call a suppressive person, and then you are to disconnect from them, which means it's over. You have nothing to do with them. And it's rumored that this is the reason that Nicole Kidman's adopted children, Connor and Isabella Cruz, have very little to do with her, because they were raised in Scientology. And it's also been said that the reason that Katie Holmes left her marriage with Tom Cruise was because of Scientology, and that he has very little to do with his daughter Suri because of Scientology.
So what is the basis of Scientology? What do they believe?
Scientology is really kind of a self-help organization, or that's how they sell themselves. So they have courses, they have curriculum, and you go through these ascending levels. First, you reach what they call clear, and then there are 8 different levels above clear. They call them operating Thetan level 1, 2, all the way to 8, OT8. Tom Cruise, I think, is an OT7. John Travolta, an OT7. Jenna Elfman, I think, also an OT7. Danny Masterson, by the way, was very much involved in Scientology. And the women that he raped said that because they were Scientologists, this abuse did not come out for a number of years. And of course, eventually he was convicted. Now he's in prison. So what Scientologists do is they go through what's called auditing, which is also referred to as a kind of spiritual counseling. And you sit with a person who is an auditor. You hold these metal cans, which are connected by wires to a box called an e-meter, which is really like part of a lie detector. It measures nervous tension in your hands, and it makes the needle move. And so you are asked questions about your life and what's going on in your life by the auditor. Tom Cruise has gone through this, John Travolta, Leah Remini at one point. And they take copious notes and they look at the e-meter to see when the needle moves. And when it moves, they know you're nervous about what they're asking you. And then they can drill down into that. And people sign forms releasing their files to Scientology. So Scientology has the goods on you. They know all about your life. They do this in what they call a process to deal with the negative reactive mind. That is to help you. It's all done under the idea that this is to help you become a better person, to realize your full potential. Tom Cruise has many times praised Scientology. He says that it cured him of dyslexia. Other Scientologists will make similar claims. And Scientology considers itself the ultimate science of the mind, which is why they are very antagonistic to mental health professionals, who they see as, if you will, a competing source of help, an alternative to what they regard as the way to deal with your mind and your problems. So Scientologists pay a lot of money for auditing. They pay a lot of money for these courses, and on it goes. And it can be quite expensive, moving up the OT levels, doing Scientology.
I've heard a lot of rumors about people that have tried to escape this, that have been locked away, kind of kidnapped. I mean, what do you make of this? Is that true?
Well, on occasion, Scientologists will have problems, that are not apparently effectively dealt with by Scientology. They may have a psychotic break. They may have problems because they're schizophrenic or they're deeply depressed. And Scientology says that they can cure these problems, but they apparently can't, because there are families that say a suicide occurred because their family member did not get the help they needed, or that they were in lockdown in Scientology because that was what Scientology felt they needed, though they did not. And
what is a lockdown? What is that?
Well, they will isolate a person and monitor them during a period of time which they believe will resolve their problem. And this happens with certain situations with Scientology, and people may not get the help that they need.
How long could somebody be locked down?
Well, there are people that have been locked in what's called the Rehabilitation Project Force, within Scientology. This is a program that Scientology runs where if you are deemed to be a problem, you can be isolated in a rehabilitation project for months, years.
So it's a re-education program.
It supposedly is going to help this person to be a better, more productive member of society, of Scientology. But in reality, people that have been a part of this program, they become isolated in this facility in Hemet, California, they feel it's like a prison. And there have been people held there for long periods of time. And there have been people that claim they escaped from that program. So I would say that Scientology can be a very harsh, very controlling organization for people. And this can cause a lot of problems. And I've had complaints about Scientology going back decades.
So when you say, when these people are put into the whatever, I can't remember what you call it, the Reeducation Camp, is that against their will?
If someone is put in that camp, it is with their consent. But I would argue, how was that consent obtained? What was the process? Because there have been allegations that it can be quite coercive, quite manipulative to get that person to go to that rehabilitation program. And it's a very, very harsh environment, according to people who have left. So I would say that they are acting against their own best interests by being there. And in my opinion, that would be a sign of undue influence, that people are acting against their own best interests, but conforming to what the leadership wants them to do, which is in the leadership's best interest. So in my opinion, Scientology exercises very extreme undue influence over its members.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.